is the hydrostatic testing chamber. Alright. Now, the way this works, lid goes up. Here, you have the manifold that goes to your mount. There's a high pressure ball valve. It's open, closed. What you have here is a hot and cold water supply. Some of the tests require a temperature conditioning for the sample. Basically what this apparatus does is it applies high pressure, high hydrostatic water pressure to any type of sample, pipe, fittings, stuff like that. So the actual going between here and the sample is going to vary from sample to sample, so it's going to take a little bit. You're going to have to look at the the actual sample and go from this fitting to the next. So if you have to condition it to a certain temperature, say you have to run it at 30 degrees Celsius or 30 degrees Fahrenheit, what you do is you just you hook up your sample, you run cold water through it with a thermocouple until it reaches the temperature, and then you can shut the water off, close this valve, and now it's isolated between the sample and the hydrostatic tester, which is right here. Now, the hydrostatic tester, the way this works, alright, it's operated by pneumatics, so it uses air pressure. And what happens is you have your air line that comes in here through your air pressure regulator and filter, and it acts right here on a cylinder, a piston head. Alright, now this piston head is hard fastened to a larger diameter piston head on the bottom. The ratio on this one is around 60:1. So how it works, you have water on the underside, water inlets over here, you have water inlet here, air inlet here. Once this is filled up with water, you have to fill the whole thing up with water so that there's no air inside of it. You close everything off. You make sure this valve is open. This is the bleed valve. You make sure this valve is closed. You make sure this valve is open. All right. This valve opens up between the cylinder and the sample. You turn up the pressure here. For every 1 psi that you apply from here, it will apply 60 psi of pressure to the sample. And the way that works is you have the two cylinder heads. You have a smaller diameter cylinder head where the air pressure acts on, and it's mechanically fastened to a larger diameter cylinder head where it acts onto the water. So, and it's got that 1 to 60 ratio. So you start cranking up the air pressure here, and you'll watch here, this will be actually your hydrostatic pressure. Now this gauge got damaged when it was shipping, or the PEEK needle got damaged when it was shipping. The gauge still works though, but just in case, we had them send us a different gauge. This is a digital gauge, high pressure gauge. It will read up to 8,000 psi, which is above what this will apply. This will apply up to 60,000 or 6,000 psi to a sample. So, and it has a peak read. It'll remember the peak value and whatever. So, okay, so you've got that. You're applying your pressure. Now you have to hold pressure, right? So some of these tests you have to hold 500 psi for 10 minutes, an hour, or whatever. So you get it up to pressure, then you close this valve, right? And it holds that pressure inside. So this valve will isolate it from everything else. And then you start your stopwatch. You've got your time. Once it's timed out, you open up this bleed valve here, and it'll bleed out the pressure slowly through this tube. So that's how that works. You've got water inlet, and then the water is regulated down to, I think, 35 psi, so that because you can't apply a very high pressure to the bottom of this, you can't handle big amounts of water pressure. It handles big amounts of air pressure, but not water pressure on the inlet side. So that's any questions on that? You guys have any questions on how